Take a look at that. Or maybe so, honey. When I get you kids in, you can decide for yourselves if you want to stay. At least you'll have found out the difference between us, people like Carlisle.
Hey, Chase, what did you find out at the mine?
And how much interest are you paying me on your royalties? That's his birthday party, and you got yourself a ribbon, and that's a problem. Teachers who look like you when I was
so what are you going to do?
I'll throw in a lifetime supply of toothpaste.
Okay, and I'm going to give Frank another call. I bet he's lost his phone.
Already played. Unseen fence. Same fence that we've been banging into all around the country. What's all this jerky and jumping? Back home when the Blackfoot Indians dance like this, they get rain. Seeing that tomorrow's election day, I'm making a token gesture to let my son here know that I'm rooting for him. One of these packages here contains $100, and there are 278 of them. One for every kid in school to give them as a present in exchange for their promise to this afternoon at the gala party. It was an attempt to make kids vote for you out of gratitude. Not me. Well, I'm amazed. You boys have seen me operate long enough to know that before I get into anything, I make sure I'm not getting in over my head. I'm going to buy control of the company. I do a whole lot of research on the problems that the company faces and give myself ideas on how to solve them. In other words, I make sure I'm qualified to lead. Are you qualified to lead? Have you been in school long enough to know what the problems are? Take a look at that. Maybe so, honey. When I get you kids in, you can decide for yourself if you want to stay. At least you'll have found out the difference between us, people like Carlisle. Homer, how much interest are you paying me on your royalties? Your birthday party, and you got yourself a griffin, and that's a problem. Well, school teachers that look like you when I was a boy, I'd have showed up once in a while. I'll throw in a lifetime supply of toothpaste. Depends on what the kids think of it. They're back to the playpen. Already played. Unseen fence. Same fence that we've been banging into all around the country. Now, we're on a bunch of room. There's also the fence there. We're on a bunch of room. Operation Send Him Quick. Send Him Quick. What's all this jerky and jumping? Back home when the Blackfoot Indians dance like this, they get rain. Being that tomorrow's election day, I'm making a token gesture to let my son here know that I'm rooting for him. Each one of these packages here contains $100, and there are 278 of them. One for every kid in school to give them as a present in exchange for their promise to this afternoon at the gala party. It was an attempt to make kids vote for you out of gratitude. Not me. Well, I'm amazed. You boys have seen me operate long enough to know that before I get into anything, I make sure I'm not getting in over my head. I'm going to buy control of the company. I do a whole lot of research on the problems that company faces, and I give myself ideas how to solve them. In other words, I make sure I'm qualified to lead. Are you qualified to lead? Have you been in school long enough to know what the problems are?
Absolutely are. We got a job in strippers in the somebody said words across the channel. Anytime I didn't like my horns, I didn't like the reed, I didn't like the strap, I didn't like the ligaments, I didn't like anything. I was a problem. And so I went over to the Great Charlie Project called, it's still there. I can't think of the name of it. And there was a great Charlie Parker, and he was playing on Larry Rivers. Larry Rivers, the painter. Well, he had a baritone sax. We were having horn, and there's nothing wrong with the reed. There's nothing wrong with the mouthpiece, and even the strap sounded good, you know. And he hands me the horn, he said, I went across a lot of young kids with like these master classes. And they were always saying, oh, I'm too shy, I'm too shy. I think sometimes you let them there. Knock at the door and it opens, and never get any answers, you know. Shy ain't gonna cut it, man. And the bird said, now you play. My shyness disappeared. I was scared to death. I'm not gonna fear, of I knew I had to come up with something. So I'm playing the bird, man. And I know the song. The Rose, they call the real book, all the songs that are written. I am a walking real book. I know all the words from mine. Before they hit the radio songs every week for years. I listened. So I did a fair job on our age room. I leaned over and my ear said, sounds real good. I started levitating on the 7th day. And then I played the shit. And I stopped looking at the magic reed, the magic strap, and I started to practice. And I started to focus, and I started being a popular, sad, young man, and being an artist. Bird said, you're doing okay, and I mean, the path was clear. After Juilliard, I got a job playing the strippers on the Vanderfeller in Sheridan Square. And I said to myself, man, after 4 years, I studied Stravinsky and Bartok and Charlie Parker, and I'm taking the progress, you somebody said birds across the street chanting. I said, oh man, let me get a taste of this. And at the time I didn't like my horn, I didn't like the reed, I didn't like the strap, I didn't like the liggins, I didn't like anything. I was a wild young man who was a problem, you know. And so I went over to there was the great Charlie Parker in a club called, it's still there, I can't think of the name of it. And there was the great Charlie Parker, and he was playing on Larry Rivers. You know Larry Rivers, the painter? And well, he had a baritone sax, and Bird was playing on the baritone sax. There was a piano about this long, a little terrible looking instrument. This guy died playing it, was about 90 years old. His father was on drums, which were a couple of high plates and a little snare drum. And that was it, that was the band. And I could see that Bird was having trouble playing the baritone. I said, well, Mr. Parker, man, would you like to play my alto? I went across the street and I went a long break. He said, yeah, that'll be cool. This baritone's kicking my ass. So I ran across the street, got my alto, brought it back, and I got on the bandstand. He's sitting there, and I was sitting there. I handed him my horn. And he played long ago and far away. And all of a sudden, I'm listening to my horn, and there's nothing wrong with the mouthpiece. I mean, even the strap sounded good, you know. And he hands me the horn. He said, now you play. I went across a lot of young kids when I did master classes and teach. And they were always saying, oh, I'm too shy, I'm too shy. I'm too shy. That sometimes you knock at the door and it opens, and never get any answers, you know. Shy ain't gonna cut it, man. And when Bird said, now you play, my shyness disappeared. I mean, I was scared to death. And I'm not talking about the fear of bullshit, but I knew I had to come up with something. Bird, I knew the song. The Rose, I am a walking real book. I know all the truth. Before they hit the right songs every week. I listened. So I did a good job my earrings, it sounds real good. Please fill my heart. This time I levitated over 7 times. I went and I played the shit out of Holland. And I stopped looking for the magic reed, the magic mouthpiece, the magic strap. And I started to practice. And I started to focus. And I stopped being a maudlin, sad young man. I became an artist.
Carries 24-hour plumber and unlocked pipes. Shot place since 1997. But dry. Let's get that open. What if I could use that? Just a tiny little piece over there. That super build needs a lot of bricks.
After Juilliard, I got a job doing strippers in and I'm saying to myself, after 4 years of studies for 2 years, where I go out, and tie with Jerry, John Barker, making big records, playing Harlem Whack. Somebody said bird crust is jam. I said, oh, man, let me get a taste of this. And at the time,
Why
I
would they
didn't
keep
like
hat
my
stands
horn, I
outside?
didn't like the reed, I didn't like the strap, I didn't like the lickage, I didn't like anything. I had a problem, man, it was a problem, And so I went over there, there's a great Charlie Parker called, it's still there, I can't think of it. And there was a great Charlie Parker, and he was playing Larry Rivers. You know Larry Rivers, the painter? Well, he had a baritone sax, and Bird was playing on the baritone sax. There was a piano about this long. It was terrible looking instrument.
Another hat stand.
Guy playing it was 90 years old. Spotty was on drums, which were a couple of pie plates and a big snare drum. That was it. That was the band. And I could see that Bird was having trouble playing the baritone. I said, Mr. Parker, I can play my alto. I went across the street and I'm on a long break. He said, yeah, that's the goal. This bad was getting my ass. So I ran across it and there was, got my alto, brought it back, and I got everything else. And he said, yeah, and I said, yeah, I handed him my horn. And we played. Longer going, far away. And all of a sudden, this thing was going
story of Hugo the Hippo, which is the short way to say hippopotamus, which is the long way to say river horse. There are lots of legends about hippos, but the one that changed Hugo's life is the legend about sharks. He always liked the hippos, but instead, the farmers took their complaint to the Aban Khan. It is the story of Hugo the Hippo, which is the short way to say hippopotamus, which is the long way to say river horse. There are lots of legends about hippos, but the one that changed Hugo's life is the legend about sharks. He always liked the hippos, but instead, the farmers took their complaint to the Aban Khan. I'm Burl, and this is new good season buttermilk brown cow salad. All you add is fresh milk and mayonnaise. I'm Burl, and this is new good season buttermilk brown cow salad. All you add is fresh milk and mayonnaise. Oh, the guy's team test is history and the clear winner is Louisiana. In Atlanta, it's Louisiana over Lipton, 65-30. In Birmingham, 67% for the great state of Louisiana. Louisiana secret. Louisiana just practice a whole lot better. See how satisfying those teams is. Final tally, Louisiana preferred 2-1. It's the clear winner.
I like a day that's not cloudy and a tea that's not cloudy. That's why I like Louisiana. Louisiana's got special tea leaves that keep it clear as a bell all day. Now, if you're drinking Lipton or Tetley, look at the box. It tells you what to do when it turns cloudy. Louisiana says nothing about cloudy, because it doesn't get cloudy. Louisiana, the one tea that's always clear as a bell.
That was given to me in Oregon. Carved it. And as I've discussed with people,
and I thought Dunby had bad breath.
That, U.S. Senator, quote, he is also a politician. And he is always really sort of a...
None of these guys look like a fairy to me. Maybe there's a bell underneath the suits.
And I think that the Americans might have that sentiment.
see Bear.
Have a listen to this.
Welcome to Learn Kung Fu while you sleep. Relax. You are now completely relaxed. The end.
I know Kung Fu.
Show me.
And
I'm king. No. Winter. Slide.
I should start you to all of my students.
Snow frog. Ed. Sunshine.
Within yourself,
Summer.
find your hidden potential, and you will triumph over
I'm
what all
king.
sorts throwing around.
No.
Let's see what you do, Case.
Winter. Slide.
Hey, work at matches. Case are lucky this.
Snow frog. Ed. Sunshine. Summer. I'm king. No. Winter. Slide. Snow frog. Ed. Sunshine. Summer. I'm king. No. Winter. Slide. Snow frog. Edge. Sunshine. Summer. I'm king. Winter. Slide. Snow frog. Ed. Sunshine. Summer.
You have done well. Take this belt with you as a sign of your skill.
I can't accept this, Barry.
Why? Oh, hello.